Tran, otherwise known as Animus, with Parkour, Virginia. We are doing a plyometric series starting with the basic component of deceleration. This allows us to absorb impact better and gets our ankle strength up so that we can start working towards the more power-based movements, the explosive movements, as well as the speed-based and agility-based movements in plyometrics. So let's get started.
Okay, so our first drill is the lateral bound with a pause. You want to make sure you absorb the impact and the momentum, and be careful not to hop or lose your balance. We're going to move right into a basic parkour landing. Everyone should be pretty familiar with this in their day-to-day training. I just want you to step off the elevated ledge and go down as far as you need to absorb the impact. Sometimes that's below parallel and sometimes it's not. Now we're going to add a tuck jump in. It is very much the same, but sometimes you want to stand up really quickly like that to just get your bearing straight, just to keep your balance. But we do want to aim for a good clean pause. That's not always going to be possible. Our next drill is a forward bound to an elevated landing with a pause. You're going to have a little bit of forward momentum here, so you want to make sure not to fall forward and not to fall back. And again, resist the temptation to double hop the landing. This may not be an issue because we are going to an elevation, but when we add another step in, the temptation increases because there's more forward momentum. Surprisingly enough, this drill is easier with the elevation than it is without. Later on we'll see a forward bound with multiple steps to a same level elevation, and things actually get a little bit trickier there. So we start out with an elevation to get used to taking the impact, also controlling forward momentum in that manner. The applications to parkour are pretty clear at this point. Our next drill is a lateral landing. Here you just want to step off the ledge again, land as you feel comfortably. An important thing I want to note about these landing drills is to not use your hands to help absorb the impact. In an actual parkour situation, when you're out training, that's perfectly fine, but these drills are for the sole purpose of having your ankles and your calves be strong enough to absorb the impact and decelerate. These are tucked jump landings you're seeing here. Everything is pretty much the same. It comes down a little bit harder. You may be more inclined to double hop to help dissipate the impact, but try to avoid it. These are single leg depth drops. It's very awkward. As you see, I'm pretty wobbly while I'm doing it. You should be careful, that was a clean one, to not fall to either side and not to roll your ankle. You need to be fairly strong before you start doing this drill. This next drill is a single leg lateral depth drop and jump. I'm coming down on my left leg and back up the stage on my right leg. The temptation to fall laterally towards the leg that's up is going to be very high with this drill. You basically just don't have a base. We want to avoid that as much as possible, but it is going to be very difficult to do so. In the beginning, I recommend only training the upside of this jump because it's much easier to absorb the impact when there's significantly less impact. After some time, after you can control it very well, then you can start going down in addition. And just always be mindful to not fall or double hop. Now we have a multiple forward bound with a paused landing. The floor being slippery, oftentimes, unless your train is outside on concrete, is going to make it a little difficult to not fall backwards in particular. I'm not sure why that is, but but most people will fall backwards and some will fall forward. Try to have control. This very last jump, you'll see me fall backwards. We want to avoid that at all costs. Now we have a back pedal hop with the pause. This one, I'm double hopping a lot. It is a very awkward exercise, especially on a slippery floor. So just keep that in mind and try to have as much control as possible. The next video in this series is going to be speed and agility. Hopefully we should have quite a bit of fun with this one, and we'll be moving into more parkour-specific skills at that point.